Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Old Fred's hospital bed is surrounded by well-wishers, but it doesn't look good. Suddenly, he motions frantically to the pastor for something to write on. The pastor lovingly hands him a pen and a piece of paper, and Fred uses his last bit of energy to scribble a note, and then he dies. The pastor thinks it's best not to look at the note right away, so he places it in his jacket pocket. At Fred's funeral, as the pastor is finishing his eulogy, he realizes he's wearing the jacket he was wearing when Fred died. Fred handed me a note just before he died, he told the congregation. I haven't looked at it, but knowing Fred, I'm sure there's a word of inspiration in it for us all. Opening the note, he read aloud, "Help! You're standing on my oxygen tube!" Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Have a great day. Patriots, call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. And a good morning to you. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best and safest of tires. And along with some of our great advertisers, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Let's start off things right here, right now, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good boy. All right, let's go to the weather forecast. K&R Rental brings you the weather at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn on the Burley Paul Highway. And Roger and the crew get there early in the morning to serve you with the best tools and equipment you need. All your tractors and mowers to get rid of all those ugly weeds, excavators. They've got all of it. All of it right there at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Can't miss them. They're on the Burley Paul Highway. You stop in today at K&R Rental or give them a call, 678-3122. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather as we make our way through this week, and it's going to be a nice one. Looking at sunny skies today, high of 85, slightly breezy, winds out of the southwest at about 10 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 57. Tomorrow, sunny and 83. Tomorrow night, clear skies with a low of 55. Then by Friday, sunny and 86. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody by K&R Rental. Again, I urge you to get the best of tools and equipment, and contact them if you're not sure what you need. They'll sit down and figure it all up, and by golly, you'll have the best of equipment to finish any job. Number to call, 678-3122, K&R Rental on the Burley Paul Highway. We have an outstanding program today, along with Dave Bego. Daniel Turner, the executive director of Power for the Future, is going to be on the air, and we've got the Old Fishing Hole with Josh Anderson and the Idaho Fish and Game Report. We've got a lot, but this morning in the first hour, I want to say this right now. And if it ruffles some feathers, so be it. You have every option to pick up the telephone, dial the number, and chew me out if you want to. But remember, I might chew back. I salute, and I want to underline this, I salute President Trump for having the gumption, the backbone, and the spine to say it like it was the other day at that press conference. If you don't like this country, leave it. And I'm going to give you an example of why that is so important to remember in a few minutes. Stay tuned. Don't go away. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Yes, they have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, all your air filters for your air conditioners to keep you cool. I noticed that the next couple of weeks we're going to be hanging right around the high 80s, low 90s, and that's summertime, and enjoy it, but stay cool, too. At 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, Ramsey Heating and Electric. They've been in business for over 6 decades serving you. 678-0459. They're open 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, I'll be there in just a minute. Stand by. But right now, I also want to remind you that next Thursday on the 25th, we'll be at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley for our Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Oh, what a great restaurant. Oh, what nice people serving you with the best of all the different menu choices, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Anytime, all the time, at America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Other location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. You stop in today, you're going to be really thankful you did. America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. It's a shame the way the news media has painted President Trump. I watched this thing in its entirety on C-SPAN, and the news media is telling it altogether different. He didn't say go back to another country. He said you can leave this country.
Well, wait a minute. Stop, Keith.
Anything wrong with that?
No, there's not. And the other thing is he never mixed anything racial into his statements about any race, gender, or anything. And this whole thing is just nothing more than desperation. Desperation by the Democrats to find little niches, cooks, and crannies that they can try to destroy this presidency. And I'm going to talk more about it in just a minute. I want to say it again for all these liberal loons that live here in Magic Valley that don't like me, don't like the program. I support Donald Trump, and I say yes. I salute him for saying if you don't love this country, leave it.
That's exactly the words he used. And why have they changed it to say, send you back to your country or something when they were already born?
Yeah, I'm going to be talking more about that in just a minute, and stay tuned because I think you'll find what I found and put together this morning really kind of interesting, so stand by. Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
All right, thank you very much. Hey, don't forget our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I was in there yesterday, and I'll tell you what, if you're aching and paining and trying to recoup from surgery or an accident, they are the place. That's right, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Number to call, 678-1191. Make an appointment and let them help you get back to being you. Absolutely. Headed up by Nick Greenwell and all the great physical therapists. I urge you to give them a call. You'd be so thankful. 678-1191, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Caller, stand by. I will be right there. I want to remind everybody, too, about Ark Animal Hospital. And you want to take care of your animals. If you've got them, take care of them. I mean, my goodness, if you're going to love them and go, oh, I love my horse, or oh, I love my doggy or my kitty cat or whatever, well, if they get sick, make sure that they get the best of care. And that's, of course, with Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. And, of course, they want to make sure your animals stay healthy. Whether you got dogs, kitty cats, horses, dairy cattle, whatever, they are a mixed animal practice, meaning large or small, they take care and love them all. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Call them today, 678-1177, Ark Animal Hospital. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. That statement President Trump made if you don't love this country or leave it, has been stated many, many, many times over. And the only time it is considered to be racist is when President Trump said it.
Yeah, okay, hold on just a minute. Wheels, I need you to boost the callers in my headset. I'm having a hard time all of a sudden hearing from the beginning of the program, so boost them up just a little bit. You might have to ride the gain. You opened the door for me, Doug, and I think it's time and very appropriate to go back in history 49 years. Let me read something to you, Doug, and then I want you to respond to it. Would you do that for me?
You bet.
It'll only take about 45 seconds. I hear people talking bad about the way they have to live here in this country, harping on the wars we fight and griping about the way things ought to be. I don't mind them switching sides and standing up for things they believe in, but when they're running down our country, man, they're walking on the fighting side of me. They're walking on the fighting side of me, running down a way of life our fighting men have fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song that I'm singing be a warning. When you're running down our country, you're walking on the fighting side of me. That song was written and recorded and released 49 years ago by one of the greatest country singers, Merle Haggard, and how much more plain can I be? If you don't love this country, leave it.
Exactly. Exactly right. And didn't it go to number one?
Absolutely. There was pride in America, Doug. There was an American spirit. It was alive and well. And now all of a sudden, because President Trump says a carte blanche statement that didn't have anything to do with gender or race, if you don't like it, leave it, he's under criticism and condemnation. These people are idiots.
Exactly. And here they're here condemning this country for what has happened in the past, which we have corrected. We do not still have slaves. The black can vote. They are citizens. They granted them citizenship for all of the slaves that were here. So we've tried to correct our wrongs. When you make a mistake and you correct it, you can be forgiven for it. But apparently not with these liberals.
You know, for years and years after this song by Merle Haggard come out, I remember people that had fought in Vietnam and our service and military people. That was kind of a underwritten theme. If you don't like this country, leave it. If you don't love America, leave it. Why is it today, 49 years later, considered racist by a bunch of loons that can't even spell the word racist, and they go after the president and get an act of Congress for condemnation? What a damn bunch of fools.
Exactly, and they can't get an act of Congress for that Tlaib, who is denouncing Israel, and they couldn't even get it and put her name in it, but yet they definitely step up and try to put President Trump's name on one. If they are weak, they have no facts to fight with, so they pull out the race card. Their race card is starting to be denied because of overuse.
Well, from now on, I've incorporated some different things into the end of my program, like in addition to the way things were, the way things ought to be, and in God we trust. And I'm also going to incorporate it, if you don't like this country, leave it. And anybody out there that doesn't like me saying it, you go, bring it on. Bring it on. I'd love to hear from you. But normally, what happens when I say that, these cowards, unknown name, unknown number, or emails that you couldn't possibly figure out who they are, those are the kind of creeps that hide under the rug when you try to challenge them on this.
Yes. And there's one famous liberal that used to live in England. He married a gal from England and lived in England. And he moved back to the U.S. because he had fears that England was becoming too unsafe for his family. Do you know who that is?
Go ahead, Doug.
George Clooney.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mr. Actor that was a so-called Democratic prima donna. Yeah, go ahead and expand on it. I get so mad when I talk about George Clooney, I don't even want to mention his name.
Anyway, he left a country, England, which was a safe country. We broke away from him because of their taxation and their tyranny, telling us where we can worship and how we could worship.
Yeah.
And we broke away from him. But he come back to the U.S. because it was becoming too unsafe over there with all of the outsiders coming in with our open border policy. So if we let our open border policy and it becomes too unsafe here, where are we going to go that would be safe?
There you go.
The last stand.
That's right, and I commend and salute also Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy for standing up and saying what the truth really is. He called these 4 congresswomen freshmen that have caused all this problem, they call themselves the Squad. Well, he calls them the 4 horsewomen of the apocalypse, and he also calls them a bunch of whack jobs, which they really are.
Exactly, and they're doing nothing for their districts. They're out there grandstanding trying to tear down the U.S.
There you go. I got to run. I got another call, Doug. Thank you.
Hey, I got one quick thing and then the seniors. One thing we ask is you do not worship our American flag. All we ask is that you respect it.
There you go. There you go.
God bless everybody. Let's take care of our seniors. Senior centers, support them when you can.
All right, Doug. Thank you very much, caller. I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget the 71st annual Minidoka County Fair is coming up. It's right around the corner. Yep, there it is. Making tracks to the Minidoka County Fair. July 29 through August 3rd. Going to be all kinds of fun. Lawnmower races and Tiny Tot Gymkhana and lots of music. And oh boy, lots and lots of food. And of course, don't forget on the 2nd and 3rd, they're going to have the Wild West Open Rodeo, and I'll tell you, they're going to have a lot of fun. They always do at your 71st annual Minidoka County Fair, making tracks to the Minidoka County Fair. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I also want to remind everybody about a great bunch of guys and gals that help you at Rain for Rent. Yes, sirree, Jake and the whole crew over there, your irrigation specialists, and they know they can help you, and they will. They're a Reinke Diamond dealer, and they've got the most dedicated sales and service staff that are out there serving you. This is a critical time for farming, and they want to make sure that you have the best of irrigation and irrigation materials. So don't worry about anything, just get a hold of Rain for Rent, 438-5065. They're located at 134 South, 600 West of Paul. Rain for Rent. Caller, thank you. I appreciate your patience.
Okay, good morning, Zeb. The Democratic Party is running scared. They're using that old tactic of keep throwing stuff out there. Sooner or later, something's going to stick. Well, a lot of that stuff isn't sticking anymore. They're getting tired of the Bolshevik four people doing what they're doing, trying to support communism in this country, and try to silence people, our people, into cowardice, being, running scared of these four people. There's so much of this garbage going on now, and they're hoping the American people are going to collapse under the power of these four.
The entire party right now is running underneath the word desperation. They do not have any rocks to stand on in the middle of the water, and they are really pushing hard for impeachment and condemnation of President Trump right now, because you know why? The bottom line is, Tony, maybe you don't agree with this, but I think it's the truth. The reason they're pushing so hard right now to condemn and impeach this president is because they don't have one single candidate that could hold a bucket of water against Donald Trump.
Oh, there's nobody out there. Only a fool would vote for somebody like Biden. He was the laziest labor faker that this country ever had in public office, and he's trying to run for president.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, Joe Biden, I think, and I'm going to make a prediction here, that by early fall, Joe Biden will be waving the white flag and saying, sayonara, I'm going to go sit on the porch and rock myself away into the future. That's what I think about Joe Biden. Tony, I appreciate your call. I got another one waiting. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
All right, sir. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget, every Monday we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. What a bakery and what a restaurant. Woo! I mean, good food and cookies and pies and wedding cakes and biscuits and oh my gosh, it's good. Don't forget to try to win the dozen cookies on Monday at 8:30 to Sophie's Chatterbox in Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. I'm calling to make a correction on your Minidoka County Fair deal. And you didn't say it, but I've seen several signs. It shows the barbecue to be on Wednesday, August the 1st. It is on Wednesday, July the 31st.
Okay. All right. I will make that change. I didn't say that, but I will make that change.
Say it, but I've seen several signs out.
Okay.
In windows of businesses that have the wrong date on it.
All right. Well, I will make the correction, and the next time I do that advertisement for them, I'll make sure that it's on Wednesday. Lions Barbecue, all you can eat, and man, that means a lot because people are going to come there hungry.
Well, it's always a big event, and
okay.
There's a lot of good entertainment while it's going on, and they have the Dutch oven pie and that after. We don't put that on, but the fairgrounds does.
Okay.
And a lot of people show up for that.
What else have you got, Jerry, real quick?
That's pretty well it, other than them four ladies look like heck to me on TV. What a disgusting, horrible-looking mess they are.
I think you'll not get any argument from me, my dear friend. Thank you for your call, Jerry. God bless you. Thank you.
You have a wonderful day, and may the Lord bless you and your whole audience.
I appreciate that. Thank you. The idiocy and incompetency that's being displayed by the Democrats and, yes, even some members of the Republican Party, it's hit an all-time low. I have no respect for them whatsoever. To waste your and my time sitting in the chambers of Congress trying to come up with a condemnation effort, which did pass, against the president is nothing more than total garbage. Total garbage. 49 years ago, like I said a few moments ago to Doug, a song was written called The Fightin' Side of Me by Merle Haggard. Many, many times in the song it says, if you don't love it, leave it. There's nothing about race or gender or anything else in there. If you don't love this country, leave it. And that's exactly what Donald Trump told these four stupid, frivolous congresswomen that are there for nothing more than disruption and fragmentation of our country. And I am fed up with the loons on the left side of the aisle, the Democrats across the board, from California to New York, that are doing nothing to make this country better, but doing everything they can to tear it apart. Those four women are the main focal points right now. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Homemade meals, housekeeping are provided for the folks at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living in Heyburn. You know, that is such a nice, comfortable, and absolutely great way to live with friends that you can rely on, friends you can have conversations with, and friends that you can just enjoy being around. Greystone Crossing, I mean, they'll take you to your appointments, and they'll help you get to see your doctors, and they provide delicious meals 3 times a day and the snacks. Oh, you'd better check it out today. Call the wonderful people, Kelly and Matt Wiggins, at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living in Heyburn. The number to call, 650-4979. Call right now. Make an appointment to go see the facilities at 650-4979, Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. You know, this OAC, her district in New York, is going to be against her, because I understand she made them all the promises of what she would do to make things better for them, and she's done nothing but make them worse.
Well, I certainly hope, and I saw and heard a gentleman earlier this morning that's going to try to run against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in her district, and hopefully, very hopefully and prayerfully, this program, I mean, we're 1,800 miles away. We're going to do all we can to help support him, even if it means financially. I just want to see her beat. I want to see her removed. I want to see all four of these women absolutely removed from politics, because they are nothing more than a stain on America and negativity for the rest of us.
Well, you know, the dog catcher there would probably be able to do a better job than she's doing. And I don't even know who he is, or her.
Well, the point is, Keith, that these women, all of a sudden, think about it. In less than 7 or 8 months, they have now a nickname called the Squad. They now suppose that they have the power to lead the Democratic Party. They have pushed everybody else aside and said, follow us because we're right, everybody else is wrong. And all they do is absolutely show contempt and disgust and disdain for America and its values. These women absolutely should not hold any office whatsoever.
That's true. They remind me of a high school clique. You know, we're a small group of people who think they're better than the rest of the class, make fun of the others. Like, for instance, my wife told me that when she was going to high school and she was poor, that if they wore a sweater to school, they come up behind you and tipped it up to see if the label said Jansen or some other famous product. What's that? Or White Stag. You know, this is all they could represent was just how important they were.
Yeah. And when somebody starts judging someone on the labels of their clothes, that tells you what an absolutely insane society we have. Keith, thank you for your call back. Appreciate it. Thank you. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts on the equipment that you need to get the big, tough jobs done. Lifting and digging and pushing and carrying. I'll tell you, they've got the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. They've got all the Bobcats. They've got all the equipment you need for rental and for sales. They've got great rates, very competitive rates, and their financing programs available to you. Stop in or give them a call today. They're located at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 459 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. Remember the best with all the equipment to handle the job. Loaders, excavators, mowers, everything. Barry Equipment and Rental, serving you. Calls welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, Merle Haggard wrote that song, and I've got that album that it's on, and I've got the single that it was on and everything. But really the words, I want to read the second verse of that song. It says, I read about some squirrely guy who claims that he just don't believe in fightin'. And I wonder just how long the rest of us count on being free. They love our milk and honey, but they preach about some other way of living. But when they're running down our country, man, they're walking on the fighting side of me. Those words are so appropriate for today, right now, this minute, this hour. You know, I mean, take the synopsis of what he said. Don't believe in fighting, and they don't believe in the American system. They love our milk and honey, and they're always preaching about another way of living, and right now today that just absolutely smacks you in the face with socialism. These words were written 49 years ago in a top song by Merle Haggard, and oh, how they are appropriate today. These four women, and I will not show any respect for them whatsoever, because I can't. I can't be phony. All they are in Congress for is to disrupt and fragmentize and demoralize, I think, America and what it stands for. I have no use for these women. And I would actually, and like I said a moment ago, I am going to, I think, participate as much as I can in helping them not get reelected. Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, and, of course, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Tell me what they have done. Tell me what they've accomplished. Tell me what legislation they've put forth. They haven't done one blasted thing except be a disruptive and very negative source. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. You know, I agree with everything you say, and I support the president. I support this country. But Donald Trump needs to quit getting involved and spewing off. I understand him saying, if you don't like this country, then leave. I've said that for many, many years. If you don't like it here, don't come here. But he needs to quit. I don't know what the term is. I mean, and I can see his point. But in the long run, I really think it's going to hurt him.
Donna, let me ask you a question, and you and George are some of our dearest friends, so please do not be offended. But if I were to say to you, Donna, you've got to stop this. Donna, you've got to not do this. Donna, you've got to not do that because you're offending someone. You are Donna. I am Zeb. And for us to sit there and say, well, we don't like what he does, what he did or what he does is probably what got him elected as president because he's not a politician.
Oh, no, I agree. I'm just saying that, ever since his presidency started, and I understand him tweeting because that's where he gets, his constituents get his side of the story. But I think he could tone it down a little bit. And if somebody told me I don't like what you're doing, my first reaction would be, then don't come see me.
Yeah. The point I want to get at with Donald Trump on this issue especially, it was not race, it was not gender, it was nothing racist. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He said, if you don't like this country, leave it. And you know what? I'm going to adhere to his words because I absolutely agree with him. I found it refreshing. You and I are on different sides of the fence on this. I found it refreshing that he would look the American public in the eye through the lens of the media and say, if you don't like it, leave it. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. No, like I said, I'm not chastising him. I agree with what he said, and every time anybody opens their mouth anymore, it's you're a racist or you're a bigot or you're a total imbecile. I totally agree with the way he put it. I just wish that he would kind of take a step back and think about things before he says it.
Well, it does. However, I think you and I will remain to agree to disagree on certain things, and this is one of them. I like somebody that's going to be forthright and upfront on the issues, and the devil be damned. Honestly, if he wants to speak his opinion on things, I love the freshness and the openness, and I don't care whose toes are stepped on at the dance.
Yeah, no, I don't care that they're offended. I just think, and they are, and like I said, I totally agree with what you've been saying. They are trying to decimate our country. They're trying to bring in rules and laws and things that our forefathers are probably rolling in their graves. And they should. If they don't like the way things are, they should leave this country.
Absolutely.
That's what we were founded on.
Absolutely. Donna, thank you for your call. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You bet.
You bet. Thank you. Want to remind you, everything is going in full swing up at Oakley for their Pioneer Days. Oh, my goodness. Tomorrow night, don't forget, they're going to have that world's biggest, I think it is the world's biggest gymkhana. And it starts at 6 p.m. Probably going to go till 6 in the morning. I mean, they get all kinds of people coming from everywhere to be a part of that gymkhana. Friday and Saturday, they've got the open rodeo and the fireworks. And, oh, my goodness, on Friday, the volleyball tournament and the basketball tournaments. And Saturday, they're going to have that big chuck wagon breakfast put on by the Oakley Booster Club, along with, excuse me for choking, all kinds of other activities for you to be a part of. Something is coming through my window that absolutely is making me cough, and I don't know what it is. And don't forget, too, on Saturday the 20th, the great big Pioneer Day Parade. The best is yet to come. That starts at 11 o'clock in Oakley. A lot of fun at Oakley Pioneer Days for 2019. And some of the great businesses that want you to come on up and be a part of it include Clark's for Shopping. Wonderful people at 100 East Main Street in Oakley with the best of that famous breakfast sausage from Grandma's recipe. Oh, it's good. They really support everything that goes on up at Oakley Pioneer Days. Clark's for Shopping. And Oakley Valley Stone at 204 West Main Street in Oakley for the most beautiful stones for fireplaces and headstones and landscaping boulders. It's all right there at Oakley Valley Stone. And last but not least, Searles at 120 North Center Street in Oakley. They're open from 6 to 9 every day. Gas, grub, and goodies. And those specialty buns break fresh every day. Good. Searles in Oakley. All of these folks want you to come up and be a part of the Oakley Pioneer Days. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I agree with you. Twitter's really the only media that Trump really has. And so if people don't like this country, I agree, they need to get out. And, his choice of words sometime may not, but, the man has done phenomenal things, hasn't really had the backing of a lot of the Republican Party, and certainly not the Democratic Party. You and I don't think there's any other person would be able to withstand all of the hate attacks that have been going on since he was nominated, or actually since he came down the escalator and said he was going to run for president. Everybody just laughed at him, And can you imagine what this country would be like, folks, if we had Hillary in there? We'd have two liberal Supreme Court justices. They'd be coming after our guns right now and other things. And I'm not really pleased with Justice Roberts. He's more of a rhino right now, or a neocon. But we have to stand behind the president. He's trying to do a good job, and maybe his choice of words isn't exactly right. But he is using the media through Twitter, and I think it just infuriates the liberals. And unfortunately, the national mainstream media is just totally in the tank for destroying this country. And I mean totally in the tank, and I think that's what's really bad. Even Fox is only about 50-50 on conservative versus liberal, reporting. And the rest of them are all liberal or socialist or communist. Take your choice.
Well, I need to get in here a little bit, Adrian. Whoa. I can't let you just run for minutes and minutes and minutes. I want to jump in. Everything you're saying is 100% correct. But thank God, and I mean this, you can go ahead and criticize Fox News and say, well, they're kind of getting wishy-washy here, they're wishy-washy there. At least they are still reporting the majority of the truth and the supplementation of the stories that you never hear on any other network. So we're blessed to have them, but I just wish more people would realize everything the media sends at you, whether it's in television form or radio or print, absolutely take it with a grain of salt, because you're not getting the whole story.
Well, I think the Democratic Party is just self-destructing. And I mean, the popularity of Omar and AOC, are very, very low, except they get all the national media, so they become celebrities in that regard. But the mainstream people, you and I, and the people that make this country great, and by doing what we should under this constitutional republic, we realize these people are so far out. But what's really scary is the fact that now you got Facebook. I know of situations, Yahoo. I sent out...
No, Adrian, I'm out of time. I got to get a weather on here. Your points are so well taken. I got to get you on the program live some morning. I appreciate your call, but I got a weather, and I'm going to call you and have you come out, and we're going to do a full hour. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir. Right now, I want to remind everybody about the weather forecast. And caller, I know you're waiting, and I'll be there in just a moment. Stand by. Don't forget our weather brought to you this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to write down. Put it on your refrigerator, whatever. Call them for a hearing screening today. 312-0957. 312-0957 to make sure your hearing health is taken care of. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather as we make our way through this week, and it's going to be a nice one. Looking at sunny skies today, high of 85, slightly breezy, winds out of the southwest at about 10 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 57 tomorrow. Sunny and 83 tomorrow night, clear skies with a low of 55. Then by Friday, sunny and 86. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you very much. And brought to you by the folks that really care about your hearing health care. Dr. Pickup, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Hunsaker. They can help you. Please don't put it off. If you've noticed a diminishment in your hearing, call them today for an appointment. 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, you have been so patient. Thank you very much.
Deb, for the last 25 years or so, we've had a lot of people who are famous stars or athletes or that sort of thing saying if a Republican gets to be president, they're moving to Canada. How many of them people have you seen move to Canada?
Nobody, but I've sure offered to help foot the bill.
Yes, everybody has. And we'll be there to wave them goodbye.
Not necessarily the wave that they think they're going to get.
I won't go there.
Okay.
But that's sure the thing. People spout off about these things, that they really have no intention of going to Canada. They just want attention.
Where else are they going to go to have the privileges, the freedoms, the rights, the opportunities? There is no other country, and I'm sick and tired of these blowhards, which they are, making these threats. Keith, I got another call. God bless you for your time. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, this deal was going on with our president, and he's tweeting. One thing I've noticed about Trump, he's really good at keeping his opponents off balance. And when they seem like they're getting their footing underneath him and they're getting some drive to push against him, he may come off with some of the stuff that just drives everybody else nuts, but he's keeping his opponents off balance, and that way he can take advantage of the situations at hand. He keeps them watching the left hand. The right hand is getting things done, which we really need to be done, that the news media is not reporting on, which they probably should. The jobs, the money, and all that that's coming in, our country building up stronger, they're not reporting on it. But the important thing is he's getting it done. Whether it's reported on or not, it's still getting done. And I think he's an awesome guy for the way he works and the way he goes about doing it, even though it's not necessarily, I guess, posh by some people, but it's working.
Absolutely.
He's got a plan. He definitely has a plan, and it's working one way or the other.
Well, I tell you what, I like his don't ever back up, don't ever apologize, just move forward and step on those that are in the way, because of the fact that they are absolutely doing nothing to make America better, but they're doing everything they can to detract from it. Riley, good point, good observation. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Good man right there. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I've looked at this and listened to what he said. If you don't like it, leave it. What is wrong with that? Somebody give me an answer. Oh, I'm sure there's a liberal or two or three out there in the audience, but they won't call. No. But then later on today, there will be a little message on my cell phone, or there will be a little email, and they'll criticize so that nobody else knows who they are or can't hear them. But what really is wrong with having patriotic pride in this country? If you don't love this country, leave it. We can criticize what's going on. And that's the mark of a real free country. And we can criticize and say, well, we need to strive to do this, that, or the other. But to sit there and just continually, 24/7, 365, tear it apart, tear the leadership apart, absolutely denigrate a country. It was never that great. The likes of Beto O'Rourke saying, well, it was found on white supremacy. That is garbage. It's garbage. And I don't want not one, of the Democratic candidates to even get a look at the Oval Office unless they buy a ticket on a tour. They are not worthy. Not one. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. On a lighter note, if you're hungry, splurge a little bit today. Today is National Hot Dog Day. Thought I'd throw that out. Everybody go buy a hot dog, or 2, or 3. And let's see what else have we got in the news this morning. Oh, if you're running out of things to worry about, we have surpassed the $22 trillion in debt. And they say that we might have another trillion added to that debt at the end of this year. Starting to add up to be real money, isn't it? Oh, my. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call, please. Planned Parenthood's having a lot of trouble. Good. Planned Parenthood is having a lot of trouble. Do you realize they threw out another president of their organization yesterday, fired her? Yeah, that is 3 presidents of Planned Parenthood in 18 months. Must be trouble in River City. The trombone player's sick or something because they're having their trouble, and I wish them more trouble at Planned Parenthood. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want you to remember to stop into your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Many of their tires right now, like the Backcountry MT and the Backcountry AT and the Road Control tire, you buy a set of 4 tires, you get a rebate. Instant rebate. Whoa! I'm telling you, at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, don't forget, too, that free pre-trip safety check. I remember Trent and I were talking about that yesterday. Hard to say, but easy to do. Stop in and see them before you leave on a road trip today. All the tires, the best in brake service. Of course, outstanding front-end alignments and shocks and struts, batteries, all of this, but the best in service from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
They had decided to hang up, sir.
They decided that. All by themselves, they decided that move, right?
I would say so, yes, sir.
Okay, sir, that was very, very convincing. Thank you very much. Calls welcome. I've got time for another call. Give me a jingle, 436. It might have been a Democrat, but when the push came to shove and they knew they were going to get on the air, they ran away. Let's see what else have we got in the news here real quick. Did you hear that the absolutely goofy, how did these people get elected? Democratic leadership in San Francisco, the council and everything else, they have now come out and decided that if you're homeless and you have a car, you can bring your car to one of their parking lots, park it, and live in your car. Oh, what a great solution to all the homeless problems. Bring your car to a public parking lot, take up residency in your car, problem solved. What a bunch of loons. I mean, think about it. That's a solution? Ay, 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 my grandmother used to say, and say it well. We're going to take a little break right now and get ready to have next hour Dave Bego and Daniel Turner on our program. And later on, the Fish and Game Report, the Old Fishing Hole, everything right here on Zeb at the Ranch. We urge you to remember next Thursday, the 25th Lunch Bunch at Denny's. Don't forget, you better believe it, Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner with Zeb's Lunch Bunch next Thursday, the 25th. I'll be back in 7. Shopping carts to bowling balls. Holy moly, what's going on in this world anyway? Oh, Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for your safe summertime driving. You stop in and see them today, along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them, get on the route service today. You're new in the area, welcome, and you don't know what to do with your garbage? I've got the answer. Call 734-6969. Always at your disposal, helping you. Western Waste Services, the best. Oh, by the way, I know someplace you need to be, and that is starting today all the way through the 27th for the Great Big Giant Indoor Tent Event, up to 50% off at Redder's Showcase. Holy moly, 2611 Overland and Burley. Dishwashers starting at just $329. Ranges starting at $399. Air conditioners, $169. Whoa! You better get in. Run, don't walk. Up to 12 months, same as cash on approved credit at the Great Big Giant Indoor Tent Event at Redder's Showcase all the way through July 27th. Hurry on in. Want to remind you, too, that in just a moment we're going to have my good old buddy Dave Bego on the line. Stand by for that. While we're waiting, I'll also bit my tongue. Also, I got a cough drop, and it shifted positions on me, and whoop, there goes the tongue. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Wonderful people serving you and your family. Joel Heward, along with his family and his staff, always providing the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. And always remember this, with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Please write the number down, 436-5636. I'll repeat it, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary and Joel Heward. And Joel also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now, let's kind of jump across the United States and land our little Piper Cherokee 180 at Indianapolis, Indiana. And lo and behold, there to greet us at the airport, the one, the only Dave Bego. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. I'd like to see you fly that in.
Well, it's not going to happen, I'll tell you that. How are you?
I'm doing much better, thank you.
Well, good, you sound better. Okay, I'm just going to say this, and you can arbitrate with me and consider me to be a right-winger, and boy, I'm ready to start fights and everything. Maybe I am. I think what Donald Trump said is absolutely something I applaud him for. If you don't like America, leave it. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, it's... when I saw that and her and going through all this stuff, I think I actually wrote in a blog several years ago that the same thing, that if you're not for America, you don't like America, then go someplace else. And I don't think he's being bad about that at all.
There is nothing, and I dare anyone to tell me I'm wrong, there is nothing racist or gender-based or anything about that statement that basically points their finger at somebody and says you're not wanted here. It's a general statement that if you don't like America, leave it, and I stand behind the president, and I wished he'd say it more often.
Yeah, I do, and I will tell you, I wish he'd kind of get away from the tweeting and, clean things up a little bit, and I've said this before, and be a little more professional about how he does it. Of course, part of his program is he's trying to get under their skin a little bit, and that's why he does it. But he's right. These people came to America because they wanted to get away from the countries they lived in and the type of life that they were living and stuff like that. And then they come here and they tear down America. But behind a lot of this stuff is, the far left that's pushing them and telling them what to say, and the unions and people like that. And, they people that want to bring down this country, and they're moving us towards a civil war is what they're doing.
Where were you 49 years ago?
49 years ago?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's think about that. I was, about 16 years old at the time, so I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
There was a song that came out in 1970 that absolutely uses all the verbiage of what we're talking about today, and it was a song written by Merle Haggard called "The Fightin' Side of Me." And in the chorus, it's mentioned every time, if you don't love it, leave it.
Yeah, and I'm sure he didn't get any pushback on that at all.
You got it.
But we just have different times now, Zeb, and people got to understand that. We got people that fundamentally want to bring down this country and take over, and it's all about control for them, and they're going to keep doing this stuff, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse as we move through towards the 2020 election.
Yeah, that might be all true, but yesterday, I know you're going to agree with me on this. I follow the news. I'm a news junkie. I mean, absolutely 24/7, 365. And when I looked at what now has turned into a professional daycare center for kindergartners, our United States House of Representatives, these people acted like a bunch of idiots yesterday.
Well, yeah, they did. And, it's sad where this thing is going. But, again, you got a lot of people elected in this last election, the midterm election, that are part of this left-wing hierarchy, and they're being pushed and told what to do, and obviously they went after and approved the law to try and impeach Trump, and this is, they look at this thing, they step back and they think, we can't win based on what we're saying and what we're doing and that, so we got to get rid of this guy.
Let's use a word association game here for a minute. I'm going to give you a word, and then the first thing that comes into your mind, you tell me what you're thinking. Okay, you ready?
I'll try.
All right. Desperation.
Desperation is the far left.
Excellent answer.
Desperate people do desperate things.
There you go.
It's kind of like the unions right now. They're desperate because, Trump's administration has got the NLRB. It's Republically controlled now, and they're, scaling back all the regulations and rules that Obama administration put in. And, employers like one that just came out here this past week that, employers actually can have the ability to fight unions and keep them from organizing their people, especially unions that have been in a particular company for 40 years or so, that they can't come in and just re-sign a contract. They're going to have to go through the election process again and give people the right to decide whether they want to be at the union. So they're desperate now too.
I think I didn't set you up, but we did not talk about this before, but that is the word, desperation, that I firmly believe the Democrats do not have any rocks to stand on in the water, like I said last hour, and they're after impeachment and condemnation of Trump right now more so than ever before, and here's the reason. Time is against them. The calendar's against them. And there's one other thing that's against the Democrats right now. They don't have one person, not one, that can beat Donald Trump in 2020.
Zeb, I agree with you 100%. And, this kind of ties back to the fight that I had with the SEIU. They don't want to try and beat you legally, when they're coming after us and attacking our company, even though we do things the right way and try and take care of our people and do good things and all that. I mean, we're not perfect, but they couldn't really justify all that. So the only way to come after us and take us down was to attack us and call us. Same thing that's going through with Trump and that, calling us racist and everything else, and we don't do things legally, and we're just not good people. I mean, they did all that kind of stuff, and they blasted us in the news and on the streets and everything. And this is what desperate people do.
Absolutely. Explain this to me, and I'm sure that you and your friends and people at the golf course have all talked about this. But how, David, honestly, can 4 women that are freshman members of Congress, they have never done anything, they have no accolades, they have no record whatsoever. 4 that absolutely are do-nothings back in Congress are leading right now the Democratic Party. Explain that to me.
It's because those 4 women have got the people behind them that want to that are desperate, that want to bring Trump down and forcibly take over the 2020 election, and we're going to continue to see that stuff. And these people don't have any experience, or they're not qualified. But what they have been done is they've been pushed in and pressured into saying what the far left wants them to say, and we're going to see it. Like I say, it's going to get worse.
Do you know who Senator John Kennedy is from Louisiana?
Yeah, I saw him on TV last night.
You got to admire this guy. He's got a great Southern style of humor, and he calls these 4 women the 4 horsewomen of the apocalypse, and also whack jobs. You got to respect old John Kennedy.
Yeah, you do. I mean, it was good to hear him say that, and what the Republicans do have to do, and John and everybody, because they are going to be under attack too in these election processes, is that they've got to get out and get in front of people and expose the other side in a professional manner and about their lies and everything, and to get out and get in front of people, because it's a real opportunity, because there are Democrats across the country that are getting tired of this stuff too, and if they're starting to move back the other way, and it's time to get these people on board behind them.
Absolutely. I'm just going to throw some things at you, and then you can pick out the one you want to talk about. Cory Booker, a senator for the United States of America, going down to the border and helping illegals break into our country illegally. And then, of course, we have others that are causing all kinds of problems. Along with Cory Booker, you've got Joe Biden saying something so stupid like, well, if you want to keep your doctor, you can keep him. If you want to keep your policy, you can keep him. And then one of the moderators said to him, well, Joe, if all of a sudden all the companies are closed because of single-payer insurance, what are you going to do then? And Biden looked like he was staring at a bunch of birds in the sky.
Well, Joe Biden, he was never really a part of the Obama administration that really did anything. He just did what Obama told him to do, and he's just sounding off on that kind of stuff. And Cory Booker, it's really sad that they're going to do that. But the truth is they want these people coming across the border. And there was an article I saw yesterday, I forget where I saw it, but that they want these people coming across because, they're illegal and they're going to get them to the polls to vote and vote for the Democratic Party so that they can up the number of people they have voting for them.
Absolutely.
That's happened before. I even wrote about that in my blogs, several years ago. And that's why they want these people coming in. And I have to be honest with you, there's businesses out there that want these people coming across because they'll pay them cash under the table.
Yep.
So they're not paying a very high wage. They might be paying them $5 or $6 an hour, so not even close to minimum wage. Of course, wages are way up in this country anyway. And on top of that, the unions at one point look at these people come across and help them because they think, okay, one day they'll actually be in a situation where they can unionize these people. And so this is all a thing for the Democratic Party and the unions to gain power in this country.
Absolutely. And then you have the likes of this next person that absolutely looks like a candidate for a Ritalin ad, Beto O'Rourke. I mean, you talk about Mr. Nervous. Comes out yesterday and he says, well, America was funded on white supremacy. That's how it was founded. And all of our institutions were founded on slavery. What is this guy trying to do?
He's another one that's got the left inside his brain and pushing him and telling him what to say and doing all this stuff. And it's sad that these people out there have been brainwashed and they do this kind of stuff. And that's basically the thing. These people have been brainwashed.
Absolutely.
And, the American people need to wake up and understand that.
Absolutely. We got a call with a question. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
There's a movie out there called The Shooter, and I've seen it a couple of times lately.
Hold on just a minute. Wheels, the balances are off, and I can't hear the caller at all. Please go ahead again, caller.
I say that there's a movie out there called The Shooter, and I've seen it a couple of times lately. And this guy is a sniper for the U.S. But anyway, it has this U.S. senator that's behind all this corruptness. He goes, you're not going to shoot a sitting United States senator, are you? And he plugs him right in the forehead. I love it.
Well, no, I don't even want to have that on my program. I know it's a movie and you're talking about a reference point in a movie, but as far as shooting someone, killing someone, maiming someone, hurting someone, let's not even go there and say you love it, because I don't want to have our country resort to a third world status of assassination.
But my point is that this guy just thinks that he is a sitting United States senator and he's untouchable and nobody can touch him.
Yeah.
Well, he puts his pants on the same way you and I do. Anyway, that's my point.
All right, sir. Appreciate your call. Thank you, Dave. Any comment?
Just back to what I've said many times, Zeb. I think we need term limits, and we need to get the president to figure out how to get term limits into the House and the Senate. And if we do that, we'll start getting rid of a lot of these problems.
I was going to ask you about what you thought about what happened in East St. Louis Park, Minnesota, where the city council, a suburb of Minneapolis, saying 5-0, why, we're not going to say the Pledge of Allegiance anymore. Why, it takes too much time, and besides that, it's too divisive. 17 seconds, by the way, to say the pledge. And the citizens, give them credit, they came out in droves with the red, white, and blue, the American flag, and they condemned the city council. And oh, gee, guess what? They had another emergency meeting last night and decided to revote, and it came out 5-0 to start saying the pledge again.
Well, the city council woke up, and that's a good thing, and that's what we need more of across this country at all levels of government.
But speaking of waking up, I want to go back to a guy that continually amazes me because he's sleeping 23 out of the 24 hours a day, Joe Biden. honestly, Dave, I'm surprised he's still in the race or that he even got in the race. And I've made a prediction that by early fall he's going to be a memory. But how can he rely on saying stupid things that Obama's biggest lie was about Obamacare? Oh, if you like your doctor, you can keep it. If you like your policy, you can keep it. This, if I were him, I would have never brought up in the first place.
Well, I know, but he's, I don't know if you've heard this, but they've been talking about it. He really wants Obama to come out of the quiet woods and support him.
Yeah.
And that's why he's doing some of this stuff right now.
But you know what you just said, Dave, is spot on. I was listening to a report last night that said the Democratic leaders of the party are begging Obama to come in from the cold and take over and try to unify the party. And like my old grandmother used to say, ay, 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 ay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, you know, they need to look at things and go back, you know, the stuff that he had implemented in this country and how it was bringing down this country. And it's not going to help them. They need to bring people up that really care about this country and do the right things for this republic.
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, I got to get your comment. Is the problem of homelessness a big problem in Indianapolis, Indiana?
Well, you have some people out there, and, you know, we see more people, panhandlers on the street and that, and down in the downtown area than we have in the past. Now, we have a Democratic mayor now. And it seems like they just are letting them get away with this stuff. And I think that's part of the problem with it. When you have it in cities and places, it's people that are allowed to get away with these type of things. Plus, and this is another thing that I've preached about many times, is the government needs to reduce the entitlement welfare programs and put people back to work, because we got too many people out there that all they want to do is live off the government instead of go out and get jobs. And in this job market right now, companies across the board and all type of businesses need people.
Yeah. You just absolutely took the statement I was going to make when I asked you about homelessness, because it just seems so totally ridiculous to me that right now there are jobs everywhere on marquees. Please apply within. What in the world is going on? Is it a lack of incentive, a lack of education? What's going on? Quickly.
It's a lack of incentive. It really is. And, you know, that's the problem. I might have told you this story before, but I have a friend. He's a black gentleman that owns the electrical company here in Indianapolis. He's had it for 12 to 14 years, and he was doing some work at my house a year or so ago, and you could just tell he was really not in a good mood and frustrated and that. And I asked him, I said, Jason, what's wrong? You okay? And he says, no, Dave. He says, I need people because, you know, I'm busy and I need more people, and I can't find people. And he says, I've got a friend, a black friend, who's married and has 5 kids, and him and his wife live separately. And so she gets aid for dependent children and food stamps and all that kind of stuff. He goes around and applies for jobs all the time and doesn't take any jobs, so, you know, he gets unemployment. And they live off of that. He says, that's just wrong in this country.
Amen.
And he referred back to President Obama when he was talking about this.
Amen. Dave, I feel cleansed. I feel pure when we're done with our conversation. Thank you, Dave Bigo in Indianapolis, Indiana. You made me feel better today.
Well, good. I hope you have a great day.
I hope you have a great week, and please come back next Wednesday. Thank you, Dave Bigo, author and entrepreneur. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, sir.
All right, sir. Good friend, Dave Bigo. Excuse me, I apologize for the frog in my throat, but can't help it. It's springtime, summertime, I get the allergies. I want to remind you that up at Oakley, holy moly, have they got a lot of fun going on. Pioneer Days up in Oakley all the way through this Saturday. You don't want to miss a minute of it. Tomorrow night's the big Gymkhana at 6 p.m. Oh, and I guarantee you that has got to be one of the biggest Gymkhanas anywhere in the Northwest. Friday and Saturday night, the open rodeo, and then they're going to have fireworks. Oh, Oh, my. All kinds of activity during the day on Friday and Saturday, including volleyball tournaments and basketball tournaments and lots of eating with the Chuck Wagon breakfast. And then, of course, on Saturday, the big Pioneer Day Parade. Oh, it is something. 11 o'clock, the parade starts on Saturday with the theme, The Best Is Yet to Come. Great, great fun for you and your family at Oakley Pioneer Days for 2019. Let's also remind you, too, about our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Had a nice visit with Jeff the other day. And, man, they've got everything in there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More for the beautification and comfortization of your home. Now, I want to remind you that everybody needs to have a good night's sleep. And they're having a summer clearance on mattresses, and they're having also summer clearance on a lot of their recliners. You better check out all the great deals. And, of course, don't forget to close out on some of the carpets. Wow. Now is the time. Underline that word, now, to get into Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And the people are so doggone nice. They'll make you a great deal, and they'll also deliver your items. Don't forget Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You want to get outside this weekend? Well, you should. You need to get away from the maddening crowds. You need to get up in the hills. Well, I know how you can do that. Stop in and see Let's Ride today at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World with all the side-by-sides and the four-wheelers. And then if you want to get on the water, the lakes and the rivers, all the watercraft, wow! You can just get outside, get a good sunburn, and enjoy. I'll tell you what, Let's Ride. They are the folks to see. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. Great accessory department and service department to keep you running and gunning. I'll tell you what, stop over and see them today. Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Really good people. Let's not waste a moment because I want to get right into this. I want to have a great big shout out to the executive director of Power of the Future, Daniel Turner. Sir, how are you?
I am doing great. It is wonderful to be back on your show. Thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome to be here, my friend, but I think we've got trouble in River City when it comes to the Democrats and their absolute lies and innuendos that are taking place in the news media about how we've got to get away from fossil fuels. We've got to change the energy structure in America. These people are going to kill business and kill everything else in this country if we go with the total Green New Deal.
You're absolutely right. The Green New Deal is really the biggest threat we have to our economy, quite frankly, to our entire capitalist system. And it has nothing to do with the environment. It has nothing to do with climate change. Those are all just excuses to push a very radical, quite frankly, socialist agenda. So they're saying it's for the earth, but it is nothing about the earth. It is about consolidating power into the hands of collectivists, and we need to push back on that.
Daniel, you wrote a very interesting article called about our energy independence into submission. The Greens, the Democrats are committed to this. How worried is Daniel Turner? I mean, are you on a scale of 1 to 10 thinking, holy moly, we might be living in a cave and burning buffalo dung next month? What are your thoughts?
Well, I appreciate you giving me a shout-out on that op-ed. I was very, very proud that President Trump actually shared it on social media. So that was a big deal for me when you see that the president sharing your op-ed. I am not particularly scared yet because the Democrats are unable to enact any form of the Green New Deal as long as he is in office and as long as they don't have the Senate. But if we were to recreate the conditions of, say, 2009, the first year of the Obama administration, remember, they tried very hard to pass cap and trade. The only reason why they didn't is because Harry Reid, who was by no means a moderate, he was pretty liberal, but even Harry Reid knew that cap and trade was a bad idea, and he didn't bring it to the Senate floor. I don't think there is any voice of reason in the leadership right now of the Democrat Party. So if they were to have both chambers, and the White House, I would be petrified of a Green New Deal getting through.
Daniel, my concern is for my grandchildren and their future children. I've had a great life. I've enjoyed this great United States of America and all the opportunities it's afforded me, my wife, and my personal family. But the general American public, this is purely my opinion, you can tell me if I'm wrong, the general American public does not have a clue as to how absolutely destructive permanently it would be for their lifestyles, for their family, and their future children if we were to accept this ideology of green technology.
You're absolutely right. And for evidence of that, we don't have to look at any other place but countries that have already begun to adopt it. So look at, for example, Scandinavia, which is really the leader. The global warming movement began in Norway. It began in Scandinavia. They have gone all in on green technology, despite having tremendous oil reserves. They pay almost 4 times what we do in utility costs. Germany has adopted so much of the green policies. Angela Merkel has really tried to shut down coal. She has closed nuclear reactors, all in the name of green technology, which is nonsense, by the way, in a quick parenthesis, because there is no technology greener than nuclear energy. But that aside, this is not the party of logic or science, it's the party of fear. But Germany pays more than 3 times what we pay in utility costs. So Americans just need to look at other countries, particularly Europe. Go there on vacation and rent a car and go to the petrol station and you say, boy, €6.75 to fill up, and then you realize it's not a gallon, that's a liter, right? They pay 5 and 6 times in certain countries what we pay for gas. So that is the consequence of green technology. People say it's this great panacea that will save the planet. That's not true scientifically, and in the short term, it will bankrupt entire peoples, families, countries, and states.
Daniel, with your expertise on this subject, take a moment, if you would, and give us your numbers, your thoughts on the transition costs alone to convert from fossil fuels and coal and everything overnight, literally, and try to transition those costs onto the American public. I mean, this absolutely boggles my mind.
It really is. And, we have commissioned a study that I may be teasing it right now live on the show in your program, but we haven't released it yet. But we commissioned a study to investigate exactly this in several states, and the numbers are astronomical. It literally in per household it is $100,000 for the first year. It is about $70,000 per household for the next 5 years, and then it is about $65,000 to $70,000 more expensive per household in perpetuity. This idea that we will just somehow stop fracking, stop coal, oil, and gas, and build windmills and solar panels, and there will not be a cost, is nonsense.
Absolutely.
It will be so exorbitantly expensive that it will cripple us. Look at what Obamacare did. This is nothing compared to Obamacare was nothing compared to what it will do if we try to retrograde our entire economy to appease the green movement.
Here we are in this country right now today, as energy independent. We are back as the numero uno, number 1 power in the world. We can dictate what's going to happen and what's not going to happen with energy. We are our own boss. And these loons, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Kamala Harris and others, want to put us in a total regressive mood and manner to go back, and I wasn't kidding a moment ago when I said live in a cave and burn buffalo dung. The American public, the elderly, everybody would just absolutely go broke.
Absolutely, and that was the point of the op-ed I wrote on FoxNews.com that the president was nice enough to share, and it was this hypothetical. If you are a President Elizabeth Warren, a President Bernie Sanders, they are all clamoring for this role. Why would you think America would be in a better position in geopolitics in terms of diplomacy and leverage, international power? Why would we do better under your administration if we were not energy dominant? Because if we start crippling our natural gas production, that just makes Vladimir Putin that much stronger. If we stop our regular petroleum production, that makes Saudi Arabia that much stronger. That makes Iran and Iraq that much stronger. So why would you as commander-in-chief ever want to see the higher ground of dominance, of leverage, of power? That's, I think, a fairly good question that a debate moderator would want to ask one of these 24 people clamoring to be president. As commander-in-chief, why would you want to cede any higher ground to your opponent? But you know better than I do, no one is going to ask them that question.
Oh, okay.
They're going to get asked a serious question about energy policy. Instead, they will just yammer on about global warming and climate change and save the earth, and everyone will applaud.
Oh,
and that's the sad thing.
Yeah, but Daniel, wait a minute. How do we, the public, and I mean this when I say this, I am not immune to saying anything to anybody or asking questions of any type. I absolutely would relish the opportunity to look at Cory Booker in the eye, or Kamala Harris, or Joe Biden, or wild-haired Bernie, or the rest of them, and just say, okay, wait a minute. You want to go ahead and take everything away with fossil fuels and you want to just have solar and wind. All right, what about food production? A country that cannot feed itself is a country that will be subservient to any other country in the world and lose all of its power. How are you going to push a John Deere tractor down the field with a propeller?
Exactly. Fossil fuels are so much more than the gas that you put in your car. And it really shows the arrogance of people like AOC who wrote this Green New Deal, because it presumes everybody lives in Brooklyn, where there are buses and subways and you can bike to work. But there is a large percentage of America, 45% of America, does not live in the urban city centers. And so when you say, well, we're not going to allow the combustion engine, what does that do for the people in the central Kansas? Not just in terms of their livelihood, getting to school, getting to work, getting to church, but what does it do for them in terms of their means of production? How do you harvest fields? How do you plant crops? How do you run your combine without a combustion engine? And these are the questions that are fairly obvious, but again, that never get asked of people like AOC when she says, well, we're not going to have airline travel with the goal of banning the airplane. Has no one ever asked Mazie Hirono, the senator from Hawaii, how do you plan on getting to Congress? Are you going to take a 6-day boat to California and then a train? By the time you get to D.C., the votes are over.
And where does the bulk of the money...
That they never get asked.
That's right. And in her case, she's one of the most obnoxious women that we have in politics today. There's others, but she's one of them. In her case, how in the world would she justify absolutely taking an axe and chopping off the head of the tourism industry, which is number one money for Hawaii?
Exactly. You know, and it's frustrating that these candidates at this point only speak to their base. I have never. I'm in the heart of D.C. I'm subscribed to every list. I have never once ever gotten an announcement that Cory Booker or Bernie Sanders is coming here. I don't know who gets invited to these rallies, but I think people like us, your listeners, they should start attending. I know they're not going to vote for them, but they should start going asking these difficult questions, because then by the time they do win the nomination, it's too late. We need to start asking them and demanding accountability for these types of simple questions. I'm a farmer. Here is all the farm equipment I have. If you ban the combustion engine, what do I do? And don't tell me about, we'll create new green jobs. Obama spent $100 billion, and he did not create one. So give me a real answer to a real problem. Remember, the last person who did that said it to Hillary was Hillary Clinton, when she told those coal miners in Pennsylvania that they would all be out of a job when she was president. And look at what Pennsylvania did. It delivered it for Trump. And I think the same thing is going to happen in 2020.
Let me ask you this, though, Daniel, and I'm not trying to just keep pushing the whip on a dead horse, but with the news media in the tank for the Democrats and the liberals, and absolutely going to put every story out that is pro-green energy, how do we educate the public about the truth? And that education factor also goes into our school system. How do we change this?
You're right, and that's one of the reasons why I started Power the Future, was to push back on that. I hope to get to the point as an organization that we can be involved at the school level. because there's an awful lot of work to do. It is sad that a lot of children are petrified of climate change. It's sad for psychological reasons that there are children who are really, truly believe that the planet will end in 12 years. But it's also sad that those same children will pick up their smartphone, pick up their tablet, play a video game online with friends in Belgium, and not make the connection that all of this is possible because of energy and the petrochemicals in the products themselves. And, you know, kids will jump in the pool right now, and they don't realize that chlorine is a byproduct of the petrochemical. And the inner tubes that they're blowing up are made from fossil fuels. But the kids think oil is bad, gas is bad, coal is bad. So I think the way to go about it, how do we tell our kids that you don't want to compromise your way of life? And if you really believe the planet's going to end, get rid of your Xbox, get rid of your iPhone, get rid of your iPad, get rid of all your toys, your carbon fiber bike, your skateboard, your Lime scooter, and then you are saving the planet. Show me one 14-year-old who will do that. I doubt there's one.
Well, and Daniel, it's so ironically stupid. People in power, whether they're actors in Hollywood or whether they're sports figures, whatever, or even politicians saying, oh, we've got to cut back. Well, we can't have any more driving, no more private cars. And at the same time, they're out there in the athlete's case of saying, oh, please buy the tickets and spend $750 for a top court ticket to sit and watch basketball, or $250 to go to a baseball game. How do they expect to support their occupations when people can't buy the damn tickets?
Exactly. I love pushing back on the elites of Hollywood and celebrities when they get on the climate change bandwagon, because they are probably the most egregious hypocrites, because they are also the wealthiest. Remember, Barack Obama flew his private pizza chef in from Chicago just for one dinner and sent a plane just for that person. Bono, the lead singer of U2, once sent his plane back to Dublin because he forgot his lucky hat, and he wanted to perform in New York with his lucky hat. Just last week, Barbara Streisand flew her 3 dogs to London for a concert because she wanted the dogs to watch her perform.
Oh,
so
boy.
These people will all tell you about how they deeply care about climate change. They're deeply concerned about the planet. They fly private. They have multiple homes. They have fleets of cars. They would never deign to spend a weekend in a place like West Virginia, but they will be the first to condemn a West Virginia coal miner for destroying the planet. Their carbon footprints are bigger than what an average American's is in a year. In one day, their carbon footprint is bigger. So calling out the hypocrites of Hollywood and the left is one of my favorite things to do.
Amen. Let me ask you this final thought, Daniel, but please share with me, what more can I do? What more can my audience do? How do we restore common sense in this country regarding this issue? What would you tell us to do?
You know what I have asked multiple times, and this would be the hugest favor anyone could do for me, and they can reach me directly. My email address is daniel@powerthefuture.com. It's very simple, daniel@powerthefuture.com. We are putting together videos and documents on the common climate myths. And I would love for your audience to tell me, hey, the other day my 15-year-old came home and said this. The other day I was at work and the boss said, well, you know, the sea levels are already flooding parts of Miami. There are constant phrases that are uttered over and over again to the point that they become accepted truths, like the planet's going to end in 12 years. What are those myths that your audience are always hearing, the things that their kids are repeating, that they read in the paper? Share them with me so that we can dispel all of them, because the more we get truth out, the better it is to destroy the environmental left and the damage they're doing to this country. So Daniel@PowerTheFuture, share your climate myths and ask me to dispel them.
You know, I certainly hope you'll consent to coming back on the program, Daniel. I've enjoyed it. I find you to be refreshing and very informed. And besides that, we need to keep jabbing the Democrats and the liberals in the backside. So thank you very much, Daniel Turner, Executive Director of Power of the Future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
All right, sir. We're going to keep that man's name and number on file and have him back many, many, many more times in the future. Thank you very much, Daniel Turner, telling it exactly like it is, but the left can't understand it. We got to get a weather forecast on here. I'm way late on a lot of things. Weather brought to you this hour by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, and they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. Why? Because of the best. Everybody knows that they do the job for them. The best in tax return preparation, tax planning, retirement planning, business consulting, and they've got 2 offices, Burley and Rupert, serving you, your family, and your business. The name? The Professionals. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather as we make our way through this week, and it's going to be a nice one looking at sunny skies today, high of 85, slightly breezy, winds out of the southwest at about 10 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 57 tomorrow. Sunny and 83 tomorrow night, clear skies with a low of 55. Then by Friday, sunny and 86. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Gina. And you really need to take stock of your situation, your business, your family taxation, and work with the people that can really help and serve you. I'm talking about Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. They work with all folks involved in agriculture and manufacturing, food production, construction, whatever. You be sure and call them today. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Oh, my goodness sakes, we got a lot of things cooking here, and coming up next hour at 10:06, we've got the old fishing hole with our buddy Josh Anderson with Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. We're going to be talking about where he's fishing today, and I just found out he's out at Lake Walcott, and I can't wait to find out what he's catching while he's on the phone with me, so don't forget that. Want to talk to you, too, about some great people that are really serving you, dedicated and responsive to your needs, and I'm talking about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Wow. Write the number down. Give them a call. That's your job. You call them, make an appointment, and then they will serve you with the best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and a whole bunch more. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The number 436-4424. I'll say it again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, serving you. Big reminder that next Thursday, I emphasize next, not this, next Thursday, the 25th, we will be over at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, for our monthly Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and we urge you to be in attendance. It's going to be a lot of fun, always is, and we're going to be giving away a lot of door prizes and everything else. Come on down, be a part of Zeb's Lunch Bunch next Thursday. I almost said it again wrong. Next Thursday, the 25th, Zeb's Lunch Bunch at Denny's, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley. While we have a minute, and I might say that tomorrow I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be off the air, and Sharon's going to be filling in for me. We've got a great list of things to take care of tomorrow, my wife and I, and so she's going to come in and take over riding for the 3 hours on this program. We appreciate Sharon very, very much. And so, therefore, today we're going to tell you that if you're starving to death, you're really, really hungry, I know some great places to go. How about the AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley? All the different flavors of shakes and all the burgers, like the famous Farmer Brown burger with the French fries and the special sauce. Oh, it's delicious. You're going to love all the food at the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. Let's move on over to Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Oh, one of the great places to get together with your friends and neighbors for your morning coffee, and then with that have a breakfast burrito, scrambled eggs, bacon and sausage, cheese, onions, tomatoes, sauce on a tortilla shell. Woo! Knock your boots off delicious. Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Now, 2 locations, 2 of Burgers Etc., 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. They've got the strawberry shakes. They got all the shake flavors. They got corn dogs and burritos. Listen to this, only $1.39 after 3 p.m. in the afternoon. What? Yep, after 3 p.m. $1.39. And they've got great people serving you every day at both locations. The best of food and service at Burgers Etc. in Rupert and Burley. Last but not least, let's not forget Steve-O's at 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Food made the way you love it. And with the warm weather, the patio's open on the weekends, and they've got music on the weekends. Oh, that's fun. Great dining with the buffalo burgers and the cheesy broccoli spuds and everything else on the menu. Nice people over at Steve-O's. 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. You stop in and see them this week. And don't forget, those are just a few great places to go when you're hungry and starving to death. And I am. We, last night, had an opportunity to have my oldest grandson come over for supper. The rest of his family's here, there, and everywhere, running to the national finals, high school rodeo in Wyoming, and everything else. And so Dawson came down last night, and Dawson's a big guy. He's about 6'4", and he's going to be a senior next year. Quite an athlete. I'm very proud of all my grandsons. And you must be well aware that when you get a next year going to be senior in high school and a 6'4" athlete, he eats a lot. And boy, poor Goober. Last night she had the stove going overtime, but it was such an enjoyable time to have him come down and have supper with us. Really enjoyed it. Next hour, we've got the Old Fishing Hole with Josh Anderson, and then also the Idaho Fishing Game Report. We got all kinds of good things coming up right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Again, I want to remind you, I will not be here tomorrow, but Sharon Hardy Mills is going to, Sharon Hardy, and I forgot her last name now. She got remarried. Oh, my goodness. She's going to kill me when she hears this on the radio. I'll just say Sharon's going to be here, and she's going to cover the program tomorrow. Tune in. Don't forget. Give her a lot of calls. I appreciate it. We'll be back in a couple of minutes after the news from CBS. A word to the wise today, please, if you have a bowling ball, make sure that you have it under control and not drop it off the Brine Bridge. I can't believe this stuff that's going on around here. Welcome back, hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with the best of tires for your safe summertime driving, and then also some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, and of course helping you get back to being you. Real fast, I want to remind you about what's going on at Redder Showcase. My goodness, it starts today and it goes all the way through the 27th, and I'm talking about a great big giant tent event to where you can save a lot of money on refrigerators, dishwashers. Why, some of the dishwashers starting at just $329, and of course they've got ranges starting at $399. Oh my goodness, you better get in there today. They sell strictly American-made products at Redder's Showcase, 2611 Overland in Burley. You stop in for this giant tent event going on starting today. One other good word, too. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Right now, I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get right to the Old Fishing Hole, brought to everybody by Sportsman's Warehouse at 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. And as we speak, with a line in the water and reeling in the big one, is Josh Anderson of Sportsman's Warehouse. Good morning, Josh. How are you?
Oh, doing good, Zeb. It was a great morning.
Tell us a little bit about what you're fishing for and how.
Oh, we were out at Lake Walcott this morning, and it was pretty fast and furious before the sun hit the water, and we were throwing plastic baits with just medium action fishing rods and like 8 and 10 pound tests. We tried a few crankbaits first, but nothing really hit on those. We turned to plastics and just hammered a few fish, and then about the time the shadows got off the water, the fish seemed to disappear too.
Okay. Now, Lake Walcott...
We got out of there and on our way home.
Oh, you're on your way home. Well, tell me this. Lake Walcott, I've lived here for 50 years and have never been there. How would you compare the fishing at Lake Walcott for other locations, depending on what you're after?
When you're out there, it's one of those that it can be hit and miss. But there are a lot of big fish in Lake Walcott. The bass run above average for the state. It's not uncommon to catch something approaching 5 pounds, but the majority of the fish are in that 2 to 3.5 pound range. And there's a lot of trout. Fishing for trout can be hit and miss from the shore. You can go several times without catching a fish, using worms and marshmallows and that. But when you do get one, they're good. The boaters seem to do better with the trout out there trolling around.
Okay, now, what about the water situation? Are all the water, the temperature, everything, are they conducive right now to catching fish, depending upon where you're going and what you're using?
For the bass right now, they were a lot easier to catch earlier in the spring and earlier this summer. The males would have been protecting the nests that had, eggs and fry, but all the eggs look like they probably had hatched, and the fry have moved off, and so have the bass. So I think they're up here in the shallows in the twilight times of the day, and then once it gets midday, I think they move off and try to find some shelter from this sun.
Josh, let me ask you this. For the person that's listening that is absolutely new to fishing, I mean, they've never done it, maybe they've gone once and sat on the side of a lake or whatever, how do they learn all of this as to where the fish are, where the best opportunities are, what the best kind of tackle is? How do they learn all this stuff?
It's really word of mouth and just getting out there and having that ambition to try to get out there and try to catch a fish, and then asking the right questions. They come into the store and, have something specific in mind. We have knowledgeable associates that can definitely point them in the right direction and get them started. We got rods starting at like $19.99 that would work, and throw some 8 or 10 pound test and buy a few hooks and rubber worms right now and get out at the right time of day, and you can be successful.
When you say get the right kind of gear and everything, and the way it sounds that maybe if they reached into their pocket and found a $100 bill, it would pretty much outfit them, wouldn't it?
Well, for the most part, it just seems that every time you decide to go fishing for another fish, it costs you another $100, and you buy a new box and add a whole nother tactic to your golf bag, basically.
Okay. Now, at Sportsman's Warehouse, you say that you, along with others, if they come in and they say, man, I'm brand new, I'm as green as grass when it comes to going fishing, well, what would you like to catch? Well, I don't know. Maybe trout, maybe bass. Can you also kind of tell them where the best places to go are to try to get what they're after?
Yeah, definitely. If they're looking for trout right now, a good place to be going would be like Magic Reservoir, or even Oakley Reservoir has been good. The trout at Salmon Dam's been pretty good, but it's a little bit harder than it seemed for the catch rates that you usually experience at Magic or Oakley.
Well, tell us...
Yeah, if you're chasing bass, we can, recommend somewhere probably in the Snake River water system nearest to your house and get you to where you could at least land a fish and have fun for a day and say you caught one.
Mm-hmm.
But, and we have walleye here near us in the state, and we have very few reservoirs that have walleye in our state, so we can recommend somewhere like that. It just, each time you get out, it's a new experience, and it's like with me and my son, we get out there and we don't just fish for one fish. It's like we'll go bass fishing one day and then we'll be out at Salmon Dam trying to catch a walleye the next, just for, the experience of doing something new.
Let me ask you this. After the program, the last time you were on the air, I had a young man. He said he was 15 years of age, and he was really going to try to get into fishing this summer. And he said the one thing that we haven't discussed is the size of hook to use. How do you explain what size hooks to use for the bass, the trout, etc.?
Definitely comes down to the bait that you'd be using. You know, you want to have an exposed point at least. You don't want to totally bury that hook in your bait so that you can't hook anything. So depending on what you're trying to rig up, or, you know, the time of year of what we're trying to use, definitely will dictate what we will recommend. But smaller hooks tend to hook more fish, but you tend to lose more fish. So it's like a double-edged sword. You want to go big enough that you get a good hook up, and small enough that it gets it in its mouth every time. So it really varies depending on what you're trying to catch and what kind of bait you're using. But there at the store, we'll definitely be able to help rig you up with the right stuff.
Another question that came up on about 2 programs ago, we were talking about knots, the various fishing knots, and I had an old-timer call me the other day and say that he would really be interested in coming in and talking to you and finding out more about different knot tying. Are you available for that type of thing?
Definitely during the day while I'm there. I actually do show a lot of folks different knots there in our shop. I've got a scale we actually test the bows with, and I tie a lot of my knots and I test them on this scale. And whenever I'm floating around there doing other things and not assisting with customers, I've gave, you know, knot lessons on a weekly basis just on people's questions and, you know, trying to get them to be more informative on what to use with different types of lines. We also sell a $6 book that has just about every fishing knot that was ever invented in the last 20 years.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about Sportsman's Warehouse before I let you go. I mean, people really, if they've never been there, they don't know that it's literally everything for hunting and fishing and all the clothing and the camping and everything else. Really, if they're going to have an outdoor experience, everything they need is right there at Sportsman's Warehouse.
Yeah, definitely. We can, you know, get an associate, if not myself, to take you everywhere in there. If you're planning to go on a road trip and you don't have a tent and a sleeping bag and everything, and you want to go fishing while you're in the midst of this road trip, and we can get you the coolers, the sleeping bags, the tents, the fishing poles, the bait, you know, just about everything. We got ice there, all your dry food mills and stuff like that for backpacking or, you know, easy storage. Yeah, we can definitely make it easy for you to get through a week-long adventure out in the outdoors.
Now, tell me, what are the hours of Sportsman's Warehouse at 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls?
9 to 9, Monday through Saturday, and 10 to 6 on Sunday.
This man is the guru. He's the man up on the mountain with the fishing pole. He knows it all. Josh Anderson with Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls with the old fishing hole. Josh, God bless you, man, and have a wonderful weekend and go catch more fish.
Oh, I will. You have a great day.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Interesting segment with Josh because he's either in the water, on the water, and fishing while we're talking to him. And right now, that leads me to these two gentlemen, I bit my tongue, that are in the studio right now. And with the Idaho Fishing Game, we have with us the regional supervisor, Craig White, and the regional communications manager, Terry Thompson. Gentlemen, good morning. Good to have you.
Good morning, Zeb.
What a dovetail into this. I mean, from fishing to the Idaho Fishing Game.
Well, first let me say I'm kind of envious of Josh. I think I chose the wrong profession if I wanted to fish all the time.
Isn't that great? He gets paid to go do that?
He gets paid to go fishing.
Yeah.
People think I get paid to go fishing, and I don't. But, boy, Josh sure has a lot of knowledge there. That was impressive.
Well, you know, I've learned a lot. If you'll go out in my barn, you'll see a new fishing rig that I bought down there at Sportsman's, and I got my license. I got my hunting license. I forgot to put in for the deer, though. And we talked about that. But he's really helped me get more enthusiastic about taking up fishing again.
Yeah, he got me going too. I was thinking we're in the wrong place. We should be over on Murtaugh Lake ourselves doing something.
Why don't we do a program over there?
We should.
And I'll tell you what, you and I and Deanne and anybody else, and Terry, you come along, we'll have a breakfast barbecue before I go on the air, and I'll do a remote broadcast over there.
I'm all for it.
Of course, now the cost, of course, will be incurred by the Idaho Fishing Game.
Okay.
I'm in.
Terry Thompson, Communications Director. My goodness, what does that mean?
That's a great question, Zeb, because I'm just learning that position myself. So I am in the role of being kind of the person that does all the communications for the region.
I see. So radio, TV, newspaper, stories to be released, all that kind of thing.
You know, throw in social media because that's become a new way of getting people out. But, you know, there's so many different channels, what we would call channels now, to get information out. Because everybody gets their news in a different way this time of year, or actually in generational.
Yeah. Was it hard, Terry? You were not spring chickens anymore. And when you talk about social media, it left me in the dust. Is that something that you're real comfortable with?
You know, I think we as an agency are getting more comfortable with social media. We have a Facebook page here in the region. The agency has what's called Instagram.
Yeah.
But those are our two primary social media types.
Well, you look at me and say social media, you notice there's a blank stare on my face because I don't do any of it. We have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller, please. You're on the air.
Yes. Talking about fishing, I have a little hard time with it. You can still build a pond 10 foot deep, 10 foot wide by 10 foot long and put 15,000 hungry trout in there, and I can't catch a fish. I've been with people. They'll catch them left and right. So I use the same thing they do. I'm using a ugly stick, a Shakespeare ugly stick, and people use my pole and caught fish, and I just can't get it. Do you have any recommendations?
Which one of you from the fishing game want to answer that question?
Well, I was going to say, my granddad used to always say it's how you hold your mouth.
Really?
You know, that was the story all the time. But, you know, I think it's, I don't know, bait. But I will say, I have known people that have some kind of scent on their hands, and if they're using bait, then that might be putting some kind of odor on it. I don't know.
Okay.
That's a good question.
If you want to turn that radio down a little bit there, Terry, I noticed you got an echo and it's bothering you. Riley, I have the same problem. I mean, I could sit, it's just same as hunting. I mean, I can sit on a mountaintop and I'll never see a deer. It's on the side over there. And all my neighbors and friends, they'll be shooting away all day and I'll never see anything. I have bad luck as a sportsman.
I was going to say, Terry gave kind of the scientific answer. I'll give more of the mystical answer, which I'll rely upon Pat McManus. Hopefully most of your listeners know Pat McManus was a Idahoan that was a humorous column. Wrote humorous columns for Outdoor Life and others, and he would talk about this, that he had that curse where you know, it could be an area that's hot for fishing or hot for hunting, and he'd show up and the elk would leave for 1,000 miles away, and it became known as the Manics Curse, that people stopped inviting him. You know, they thought they could cure the curse, but they couldn't. Well, I feel for your caller because sometimes I have the same experience, and Terry's probably right. It's probably just, you know, something on your hands that you're doing, or how you kind of move the jig or how you reel in. But for me, I swear I'm doing the same thing and nothing. And I just had that experience over on Henry's Lake where I was with two folks I know, and they were caught fish and I caught nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
So basically you belong to my organization.
Yes, I do.
Those that are always going to be left out.
Yes.
Okay.
Sad story, but true.
Hey, let's talk right about fishing. Take Me Fishing Trailer. Great idea from the Idaho Fishing Game.
You know, and it plays right into what Josh was saying in terms of getting people out fishing, because the Take Me Fishing Trailer is a great opportunity for people who may not have fished in a while or maybe have never fished. It's hard to believe, but in Magic Valley and in Idaho, where fishing is such a heritage and a culture of the area, that some people haven't actually had the opportunity to get out and fish.
Right.
So we take this trailer out. It's got great graphics on the side, so it's highly visible, and we will loan people equipment. Bait. We'll teach them how to bait, how to tie knots, the basic knots. And the other nice part is that if you use our equipment when the Take Me Fishing trailer is out at a body of water, you don't even have to have a fishing license.
Really?
All the regulations still hold true, but we actually will waive that need for a license. Today, the trailer's down at Oster Lake number 1. We're anticipating probably 200 people because a lot of the senior homes are taking their residents down for a day on the water.
That's nice.
This coming Saturday, 8 to noon, it's going to be up at Penny Lake, up in the Wood River Valley.
I was going to say, I do not know where Penny Lake is. You're looking at each other. Where is Penny Lake?
It's up in the Ketchum area.
Really? I didn't know that. I've never heard that name before.
And I'm relying on my history of growing up in Magic Valley, but I've been gone for almost 20 years now. But then on the Saturday, the 27th, the trailer's going to be at Durkee's Lake, just right outside of Twin.
Absolutely.
There. So it's a great way to get out. Try your hand at fishing, and because the best part about it is when somebody goes, I really want to go fishing, then they can go see Josh at Sportsman.
Let me ask you this real quick, Terry, as far as getting the word out, what means of notifying the public do you let them know that these Take Me Fishing days are available?
So we've used social media.
Yeah.
We've done some press releases, word of mouth. We see upwards 50, 75 people per event.
Are you looking at any certain age brackets more so than another?
It used to be that we would always say, well, we want to get kids involved.
Yeah.
But then there's the realization that you get a youngster that says, I want to go fishing, but if mom or dad or a grandparent isn't there to take them fishing,
they can't go.
They can't go. Yeah. And so the goal now is to engage families.
Absolutely.
And so, these are great things. Unfortunately, we're at the end of the summer now in terms of the Take Me Fishing trailer. But we take it out with trout in the classroom, schools so schools will grow trout eggs,
Good.
and release the trout in the spring.
Good.
So the Take Me Fishing trailer is a great resource to have here in the valley.
Absolutely. I've been at one of the events, as a matter of fact, and it's fantastic. Real quick, before I have to take a break, Craig, Anderson Ranch, Lake Walcott, tell us about what's being caught there, if you would, please.
All right, sure. Real quick, just let people know where Penny Lake is if they want to go up. So you go up to Ketchum, you take the left on the Warm Springs Road. So on the north side of Ketchum, as you're about to go back out of town, you've gone past kind of where Main Street intersects.
Okay.
You take that soft left, drops you down, and it starts heading up Warm Springs, and it's about 4 miles from that intersection up on the left.
I've got to go see that.
Yep, it's. I've been by it several times and keep forgetting it's called Penny's Lake. I just think of, there's that lake as I go get my firewood. But anyway.
My. Okay. And tell us about what the fishing conditions are real quick for the kokanee and everything else.
Well, I know kokanee up at Anderson Ranch is booming. Just talked to a guy yesterday over in Boise, or actually listened in to the conversation. That's how you pick up the best pointers. Who had fished kokanee over at Anderson. It's doing great. It's been a fantastic, place for a few years now. You can also catch some small bass, smallmouth bass there, as well as at Lake Walcott, as Josh mentioned.
Yep.
And really, that was really insightful approach to maybe how to fish Lake Walcott by Josh. He mentioned walleye, and Oakley Reservoir has a really good reputation for walleye, as Josh mentioned. Walleye aren't a native species, but we've put it in a few reservoir arch challenge I will mention real quick with walleye is some folks want to self-direct our fisheries, and meaning they want to catch live walleye and put them all over. There is a walleye following, and not only is it illegal, it really makes fisheries management hard when people start taking it upon themselves to seed other bodies of waters with their favorite fish.
Absolutely.
We really ask people to, if they want to see something done, come in and visit with us. There's always reasons why we may or may not, including trying to preserve native fish and not have them pushed out or gobbled up by other non-native fish.
I've got a hard break coming up at the bottom of the hour here in just a second, but Craig, follow up on the two-pole permit that we were talking about, or Terry, please, quickly.
Sure, and from what I understand, Zeb, there was a call in question about that last month. So there is not a two-pole permit that would accompany the 3-year fishing license, and it basically came down to learning from our folks up in the headquarters in Boise was that the regulation was only for licensing. It did not stipulate permits.
Okay.
So permits are single-year. Licenses can be up to 3 years.
Okay, sir. I got to tell everybody, Oakley Pioneer Day is going on this week all the way through Saturday. The 2019 Oakley Pioneer Days with the theme, The Best Is Yet to Come. Tomorrow night, the Big Gymkhana. Friday and Saturday night, the open rodeo and all the fireworks. And, of course, don't forget daytime activities, including volleyball tournaments, basketball tournaments, chuck wagon breakfast, Goose Creek runoff, all of this. And then on Saturday, the big Pioneer Parade at 11 o'clock. The best is yet to come. All of this and so much more at your Oakley Pioneer Days for 2019. Smith's Cafe urges you to come on up and enjoy all the fun with you and your family and everybody else at the 132 celebrations of Oakley Pioneer Days, and stop in and enjoy great food, great burgers, and if it's hot, enjoy a cool beverage. Just the place to go to beat the heat. Smith's Cafe, 135 East Main in Oakley. And also our thanks to Speaker of the House, Representative Scott Bedke, rancher up in Oakley, saying have fun and really enjoy the heritage and history of our area. Enjoy the 2019 Oakley Pioneer Days celebration. That from Speaker of the House, Representative Scott Bedke. All the fun up in Oakley this weekend, and right now we're going to take a quick break and send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, my goodness. I want to tell everybody about Greystone Crossing. It is absolutely a wonderful place. Independent senior living on Alfresco Road. That's 21st Street in Heyburn, just 1 mile east of Walmart. Wonderful. 3 meals a day, plus all the snacks and the housekeeping and local transportation if you need to go shopping or go to a doctor. And the main feature about our wonderful friends at Greystone Crossing is community. Passing the days along with all your friends, your new friends, old friends. It's a wonderful place. Seniors, I urge you to call and find out more. 650-4979. That number again to call Kelly or Matt, 650-4979. Great place for you, Greystone Crossing, independent senior living. We're on the air right now with our dear friends with the Idaho Fish and Game, and they've been coming on this program for many, many, many years. And Craig, I'll go right back to you. A couple of issues that we need to solve regarding controlled hunt tags, of which I forgot to put in for.
And you want that solved by me reminding you next year.
How do we do this? I mean, you reminded me like 37 times, and I said, okay, I put it in my day planner. And I said, before the end of May, I got to get in there and put that application in there. Didn't mind reading it until 1st of July.
Well, I wish I could solve the immediate problem for you as far as, being able to put in for the big pool. I think I'm going to have to put a note on my calendar and help you next year.
Please.
But people should know that if they do not pick up their controlled hunt by August 1st, it goes into the second drawing.
So there still is an opportunity.
There is still an opportunity, and you'll be surprised at sometimes the quality of tags, meaning quality controlled hunts, these hard-to-draw controlled hunts.
So you're saying that there's a lot of sportsmen out there like me that are not very conscientious.
I'm saying that they are excited and they put in for the first drawing but forget to either check, because it is not, we try and send out reminders if we have your email address, other stuff, we'll do that, but it's not on us to remind you. We do our best to, but people don't realize, they don't go on and check to realize they drew a tag. It is their responsibility, and then sometimes they forget to pick it up. So we do have a second chance application period between August 5th.
Would you remind me?
I'm going to remind you.
Good.
I got my phone here, and I am going to remind you. You think I'm kidding, but I won't. And so pick up your tag by August 1st, or it goes into that second pool. People can apply between August 5th and 15th. And then a reminder that we have some elk zones that have cap tags. So you purchase these over the counter. They go on and sell a certain date, but there's a cap on the number of tags we'll sell. Some of those cap tags are still available. There are still tags available. In this region, we created a lot of antlerless. We took all our controlled antlerless elk opportunity and made it into an over-the-counter, but it is capped. So we still have some opportunities on that. Terry, you can talk about that real quick.
Yeah, we were actually kind of surprised. The South Hills zone, there's still 87 tags as of this morning left. These tags went on sale last Wednesday, July 10th. And there were a couple of the zones sold out pretty quick.
Really?
But like Smokey Bennett, and these are what we call a B tag, so these are antlerless hunts.
Right.
But Smokey Bennett still got a little over 350 tags left.
Why?
I don't know. I'd have to probably turn to Craig to that, but this is a great opportunity, especially if you're looking to put meat in the freezer.
Oh, my.
So one reason we went to over-the-counter with these is, like I said, we had controlled hunts they were antlerless hunts in these zones, and we've increased in elk numbers. In some areas, like the Pioneer, we're actually over our numerical objectives. In the Smokey Bennetts, we were reaching that upper limit. There's a range there. We were reaching that upper limit with what we were doing, which was sowing antlerless opportunity in controlled hunts. So we went to over-the-counter, and we increased the number of tags. Like I said, we got rid of the number of controlled hunts, so I'm just throwing this out as an example. There might have been 500 tags available in this zone in a controlled hunt for cows. Now we upped it to 1,000, just as an example. It's not specific to a zone, but I'm using that as an example. So I think what's happening is, one is there is more tags available, because what we are trying to do is stop the growth. As responsible managers, we want to provide opportunity for hunters to have elk out there and harvest, but we also have to do it in a responsible way.
Absolutely.
In that we don't have so many elk that they're causing so much problems.
The depredation problem is really something that can be very serious.
It is, and it has been serious, and so we're working at it, and so we're providing more tags. So why are there some left? Well, I think partially because there's some more tags available than in the past, but also I just think hunting throughout Idaho's, is so great, and I'm, biased, but I think there's a lot of choices, and so people are trying to figure out where they want to go. There's so many choices.
Well, let me ask you this. We're looking at already mid-July, and it's hard for me to fathom that we're already looking at half the summer gone, and it's not going to be too long before you're going to have your fall hunts, right?
That's right.
And the next subject kind of hit me in the eyes here a minute ago, because it says, be sure to plan ahead and the care of the meat. That is something I think Craig, you and I have talked about in the past. Warm weather we're going into the fall. Looks like we're going to have another hot summer all the way up through September, etc. When did the hunting season start, and what about the care of the meat? People really need to be watchful and careful about when they shoot the animal, bring the animal down, dress it out. They better take care of the meat.
So I'll jump in here real quick and use the South Hill Zone as an example. That hunt starts, one portion of that hunt starts August 1st.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Which is going to be pretty much heat of the summer. So we just want to make sure that...
Is that the archery, or what is that?
No, that's would be a what we call a B tag or an antlerless hunt.
That early, huh?
Yeah, and this is in relationship to why we do it that early is because that's when elk start to come down onto people's fields. You know, it's been hot, things are drying up in the mountains. Wow. They see that green alfalfa, so we're trying to. It's actually if I recall right, a greenfield hunt. And so you can harvest within 1 mile of agriculture land. So it's not up on the forest. It's kind of down in that interface.
And the microphone just tipped over, but everybody's
yes,
all right.
Yes. Well, Zeb's watching me use my hands because I talk with my hands. But anyways, that's why.
But August 1st it starts, and my goodness, we're looking at temperature projections of in the 90s.
Yeah. So and that hunt goes till the end of August, and then and I should kind of follow up on Craig's point, is that this is a hunt that's not on Forest Service ground.
Greenfield.
It's more that transition between agricultural and the mountains. But, we just want to make sure that people are planning ahead in terms of when they want to do their hunt. Hunt early mornings, evenings, have adequate maybe some ice with them, but you need to get that hide off quick. You need to get the meat cooled down.
Pardon my interruption, Terry, but when you say get the hide off quick and get it prepared, really, what is the time factor that when you're talking 90 degrees, you're talking about the clock running against you, aren't you?
Yeah, and I'm going to look to Craig but it should be quick.
Well, my background's a research biologist, but I've never researched how quickly meat would spoil with that hide on. But from talking to folks, they've had experiences where they've shot an animal, say, even if it's morning at 8, but it wasn't a good, clean shot, and so then they ended up having to track it. It sat there for a few hours, and as they're pulling the hide back in that kind of temperature, they start to see it, and the meat already starting to turn green and spoiling.
Really?
So,
wow.
It can be a good, safe, and I guess the proper word I'm looking for, it can be a good ethical hunt, but it's about you making those ethical choices, not taking a 300-yard shot, taking a good close shot through the heart, the animal drops, you're prepared to get the skin off and handle it.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Caller, quickly, please. You're on the air.
Yes, this is not about hunting, it's about fishing. And how does the relationship between you and the Forest Service work? They dictate, the riparian zone, the bank of the river, in the river, and you guys do the fish. How does that, because let's face it, it's one and the same, the fish are in the water. How does this all work? And I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, please.
So I believe what the caller asked is essentially, how does management and regulation work on federal land? Fishing, your state's Idaho Fish and Game is responsible to enforce commission rules and regulations such as how many fish you can take, size limit, and all that. How does that pertain to, Forest Service, who often manages a good portion of the land in Idaho, because close to 70% of it is public land, managed typically by the BLM or Forest Service. So Idaho Fish and Game still sets the regulations on the streams and what the fishing rules and regulations will be. And that's, in my experience, have been pretty clear cut. As far as other type of management on that landscape, cutting firewood, cutting all that, that's totally up to the Forest Service, and they have their process. But we would determine fishing regulations. Now, we do try and be aware of those federal partners, as we've referred to them, so that we're collaboratively working together, because what they do on the land impacts the habitat for those fish. And so certainly it's not, us or them. It should be a working relationship where we're giving them input on the projects that might affect the quality of the stream, whether it's, don't cut so close, or leave, or cut and open up an area. But there is some clear rules and regulations on fishing remains with the Idaho Fish and Game Commission.
I've got a weather forecast I need to get on here, but I want to sum this up a little bit, and I want both of you to respond if you think I'm wrong or add something to it. If you're going to be in the early hunt starting August 1st, really find out the information about what equipment you need, ice chests, ice, sharp knives, everything. Be prepared for that hot weather to salvage and save the animal as much as you can.
Absolutely. There are laws and regulations that pertain to, what am I trying to say, Craig?
Don't want to waste meat.
Waste meat, yeah.
Which essentially, if you're doing your best to take care of the meat, you're going to be fine, even if some gets spoiled.
Right.
That just happens.
Yep.
We don't want it to see, but it's impossible to say some meat won't get wasted. But the waste meat rule really pertains to you get an animal down and you decide, well, I don't want to take out all of it. I want to be lazy or whatnot. That's what that's about. Don't waste the meat. And it even talks about portions you for sure have to take and portions you don't. But because some people don't worry about the rib meat.
If they have questions, can they call the Fish and Game office?
Yep.
324-4359.
Yes.
Gotcha. I've got to do a break real quick, and before I do that, Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Don't forget, they are your electronic needs headquarters. They've got all the home theater systems, videos, surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems. They've got the closeout right now on various power cords, monster cables, 50% off. Wow. Stop in and see Curtis and Lorena today. All your TV sets, Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs, all of this at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis and Lorena serving you. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, Patterson's in Burley. Right now, let's take a quick look at the weather, and the weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and his crew over at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website and find out all about the delicious meats at scarrowsmeats.com. Absolutely phenomenal folks serving you with all the marinated pork ribs and the tri-tips and all the different bacons and the bratwurst. The list goes on at Scarrow's Meats. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather as we make our way through this week, and it's going to be a nice one. Looking at sunny skies today, high of 85, slightly breezy, winds out of the southwest at about 10 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 57. Tomorrow, sunny and 83. Tomorrow night, clear skies with a low of 55. Then by Friday, sunny and 86. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebedee Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina. And right now, we want to say thanks again to Don Scarrow and his excellent staff at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. We're on the air with the Idaho Fish and Game. Craig White, the regional supervisor, and Terry Thompson, regional communications manager. One thing that we've talked about every single year, many times on this program, Craig, is if you're up in the hills, you're hiking or taking pictures or whatever, and you see wildlife, young wildlife, laying underneath a tree or whatever, leave it alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're still in that period where there can be some late calves dropping from elk, late fawns dropping with mule deer. And so sometimes, especially when they're that young, or especially when they get older, Mama's going to just bed them down and go off and forage. And sometimes she beds them right next to a road, people come along and they think, oh, this poor orphaned wildlife, thinking something happened to mama. And usually, it's not the case. And if they just leave it alone, mama would come back. And sometimes they say, well, we sat there and watched it all day and mama didn't come back. And I'm like,
that's the reason.
That's the reason you sat on it. But if you leave it alone, mama will eventually step out of the trees or out of the brush and pick it up and take it away. So we really encourage people to. And every once in a while, there's a sad situation where mama's just been hit on the road and the baby's there and they think, well, I'll take it home and bottle feed it. Every time that happens, the animal gets imprinted to humans. It's near impossible to put it back into the wild, and zoos will only take so many deer and elk before they've had enough deer and elk. And so, the result is we end up with a situation where we have an imprinted, essentially livestock, not wildlife.
Yeah.
And, livestock, as you know, is something that has a purpose, and that purpose is to be consumed. So eventually those situations turn out not fortunate, not the way people want it, with the wildlife being wild, and we end up euthanizing them and donating them to food banks. So they do get used, but it's an unfortunate situation that often can be avoided by either leaving the animal alone or alerting fish and game.
There you go. There you go. I'm skipping so we can get through everything. What about, it says many more reports. Is that something that we need to elaborate on as far as the young animals? Leave them where they are.
And I think you brought up a really good point there, Zeb, when you said that we talk about this every year.
Yeah.
But you would be amazed at how many phone calls we get throughout the spring.
Craig had mentioned that one time. It's enormous, the amount of people that call you and want you to take care of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But even though we continue to talk about it, the message is always the same, which is leave them lay. Leave them be, because that's where they belong, and as Craig pointed out, usually it ends up where an animal ends up being euthanized, and that's not good for us or the wildlife population.
No. Bears. I got to tell you something, guys. I try to be John Wayne, but bears scare me to death. I had an experience one time in the Upper Peninsula up in Michigan with a bear, and ever since then, when I'm out fishing in the wilds, I wear my eyes on the backside of my head. What about bears here in southern Idaho? A lot of them?
There's north of interstate, when you get more up in the Pioneers and Smokies and all that, certainly not in the south part of the region. But, every year we get situations where bears get conditioned to garbage or to people leaving out bird feeders or other stuff during the summer.
Bird feeders?
Yeah. And, the challenge there is I get it, people living in these kind of interfaces with the mountains, Wood River Valley comes to example, are going camping, like on the South Fork of the Boise River. You wake up in the morning, you cook some breakfast, you want to just throw things in a cooler, which you leave on your table or in your tent, and you want to go fishing, and you don't want to worry about it. But really, you need to take care of food, put it out of reach of bears, and in your tent is the worst place. We had a situation recently where someone left their cooler in their tent, and a bear ripped through the tent. Well, that's a bear now that's showing, pretty much no respect for that boundary of a tent, and we need to, try and track it down and remove it. Because
were there people in the tent at that time?
They were off doing other stuff, but there have been sad occurrences where people have been in the tent or outside, and the bear just get habituated. And a lot of it is just about cleaning up around your camp or cleaning up around your house, and then sadly some of it's just weather dry. It gets dry, the bears come down, and some of them just have a curiosity, and that's going to happen. But you can avoid probably majority of it just with a clean camp or clean up, keeping your house if you live in that kind of interface.
Yeah, but Craig, it's like you and I talked about one time when you first started on this program, is that sportsmen need to be much more cognizant of picking up after themselves.
Yes. Overall, we all
do.
Yes.
Yeah. Whether they're just going up in the hills for a day or if they're spending a week up there.
Yep.
If you bring it in,
Pack it
Take
out.
it out.
Yeah.
There you go. Absolutely. What about this last subject? I didn't know that you did this. Tagging mourning doves?
Yeah, so as part of just kind of a monitoring, mourning doves are a migratory bird, and just part of a monitoring, we tag them. And
are there two
look at
different
returns.
kinds, good and bad and ugly? I've heard this.
Well, there are now. There are the mourning doves.
And then the Eurasian dove.
The Eurasian, I couldn't think of. Are they the ones with that black line on their throat?
So mourning doves have that. Eurasian dove has a thicker, bigger, and it doesn't quite go all the way around. It's kind of like a collared. Some people call it the collared dove. You're not going to see that with the mourning dove. It's a sleeker looking dove. The other Eurasian or collared dove is.
How did the bad dudes get moved into the neighborhood?
Well, they just kind of came up. My understanding is they just kind of came up from the south. Is my understanding, and they've just kind of been spreading. And there is, you still need a hunting license, but you don't need. There is no limit on the number of Eurasian collared doves you shoot.
I see. So you're tagging the good ones.
Yes, we're tagging mourning doves, which is the species that's been around forever, and it's the one that we want to monitor, harvest and movements and that sort of thing.
You didn't think we'd make it, but we've got 1 minute to spare, and I've got to do one. Oh, I got something on the back. Let me do a commercial real quick, and we'll hit that really, really fast. Holy smokes. He's got about 27 things on the back. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, our major sponsors, serving you with the best of safe driving tires for anywhere and everywhere you want to go this summer, and check it out today. Stop in also along with the tires and check out their free pre-trip safety check. Say that fast 5 times, and they'll check your tire pressure, wheel alignment for tire wear, front end components, shocks and struts, battery including a load test, brake components, all of this and more with that free pre-trip safety check for you at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They, above all, provide you with the best of service. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley, the best. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, serving you. We've got exactly a minute. Go, Craig. What else do we need to hit?
So there's just one other thing we need to hit, Zeb. Want folks to know that sage grouse season setting is upon us. We do that a little later than any others because we want to see, get out in the spring and count the number of males at Lex and see what the population's doing. So next week there is a commission meeting. We've talked about that numerous times. Different years we have, or throughout the year we have 6 to 8 commission meeting. Next week, on Wednesday, Thursday, it's going to be in Salmon, and we will present data and some department recommendations to move forward for scoping. So based on how that goes, after that, we will be seeking public comment on those sage grouse seasons for this fall. And so we want people to be aware of that if they'd like to weigh in. Check in with this, go to the website is really the best way, but they can give us a call, not next week, but the following week, around July 28th, 29th, and see what the season, what we're considering for seasons.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, any subjects we talked about this morning with the Idaho Fish and Game, call them at their office for more information, 324-4359. Our thanks to Craig White, Regional Supervisor, and Terry Thompson, Regional Communications Manager at the Idaho Fish and Game. Gentlemen, we did it.
Hey, Zeb, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Seb.
Nice to have you here, Terry.
Yeah, it's
come
great
back,
being on your show.
Both of you. Thank you much. We're going to get out of here right now and tell everybody the way things were, the way things ought to be, and of course, the world needs more cowboys. But along with that, in God we trust. Tomorrow morning, Sharon's going to be on the program for me. I'll see you next Monday. Zeb at the Ranch.